But we're just going to jump right in. And
Loretta, we are going to do part of our PowerPoint. So if you want to be sure to give us permission to screen share, that'd be great before we get started.
Oh, absolutely. And you can screen share from your screen. So you're
yes. Yeah, we have two computers going on here so that we can have everything we need. So, if you've been in this business for any length of time, you've heard that most people join for one of two reasons, either desperation or inspiration. And sometimes it changes over time. And for us in the beginning, it was definitely desperation. How many of you guys have seen the movie Inside Out? It's a cartoon. It was done by Pixar. Basically, it's another cartoon that makes grown men cry, right? And it's a story about a little girl, and the movie actually takes place inside of her head, and she has all of these emotions: anger, joy,
disgust, sadness,
all this. And so part of it is just these things that are going on inside of her head. And my daughter hates the movie because it came out right after we moved, and it's all about the emotions that this little girl goes through when she moved. And so in the moment, there's this key moment when the character named Joy, so that the emotion Joy, holds this blue stone, and it's a core moment of her memories. And this, as she's holding this stone, she realizes in that moment that not all core memories that we have, you understand core memories, right? Those things that you just never forget and they impact you for the rest of your life. She's holding this stone, and she's staring at it, and she realizes that not all core moments are joyful moments. And it was kind of like this huge epiphany for her. And so our story actually starts with one of those core moments that was a sad moment.
Now, as Loretta mentioned, I was a pastor for 13 years, and without going into too much detail, basically we went through some very difficult things in ministry, church splits and things like that. And after 13 years, I basically came to the point where I realized I was burning out. I had spent all my energy just giving, and really had not taken care of myself emotionally and physically. And finally went to the leadership of the church where I was working and decided I was going to do the honest thing. I was going to tell them I was struggling and asked for their help. Unfortunately, rather than help, I got judgment, and rather than support, I got reaction from them. And I remember going home and telling Tirzah that apparently it's not safe for me to struggle here. So I gave it my best, but unfortunately, after 13 years, I couldn't give any more without damaging my family. And so with my heart sinking, and knowing that leaders weren't going to walk through this valley with me, I knew I was at a point where I was alone and I was soul tired, and it was probably time for me to move out of my career. But I really didn't want to. And it was one night we were sitting on our bed, and we were talking to my mentor on a conference call very similar to this, and just having a very heartfelt conversation. He knew what was going on with us, and he probably did the most merciful thing anyone's ever done for me. And that is, he said, "Bradley, it's time to be done. You have nothing left." And yeah.
It was crazy. And I'll never forget that moment, because Bradley fell into the ground in sobs and tears, and as if someone had died. And I don't know if any of you have ever lost a career or something like that before that you thought you were going to do forever. And it was not something that I've ever anticipated us experiencing. In reality, it was like a death, and it was a death of a dream, death of relationships. And for Bradley, it was a death of the vocation that for both of us that we thought was going to be forever. And so after agonizing departure and lots of hurt and angry church members lashing out at us, we packed up our sad little family and we said goodbye to our home, our friends, our community, and our career. And we moved to Charlotte, and it was exciting because we have family here, and we've been commuting to Charlotte. I had for almost 4 years, working in this wedding venue that our family owned. And then, coming to Charlotte was the logical place to be. What we didn't expect is that when we came here, within 6 months, things became unbearable for me and my job, and I needed to resign. And so I did. So we were both unemployed with no plan. And that is when I was introduced through Juice Plus, through my upline sponsor, Tammy Lamison and Lisa Paget. So I remember calling Lisa, and I said, I was sitting on the edge of my bed and I said, girl, I need to make $3,000 a month. That's our expenses. How soon do you think that I could do that? And she says, Tirzah, it's up to you. And then she said this very important thing to me. How hard are you going to work? And so in that moment, I knew that my family needed me. My husband needed me. He was struggling very intensely with depression, and I knew that it was up to me. And so from the very beginning, I worked with tenacity, with desperation, and with everything that I had within me.
And here's the amazing turn of events is throughout this process, we knew it was a big step of faith. And we just kind of said, okay, God, lead us. Wherever you want to go, we don't know the plan. Just make something amazing happen. And he brought this beautiful company into our lives, but not only that, he turned the tables, and instead of her quitting her job, we had an opportunity to buy out the owners of the company, and we now purchased the wedding venue and have owned it for now a little more than a year and a half. So now here we are, finding ourselves as franchise owners in Juice Plus and owning a small business here in Charlotte. And our desperation has completely transformed. It is now inspiration. We have seen firsthand in both arenas what hard work can do, that we can actually live our dreams. And now our passion is to help people help them have the same freedom and experience the joy that we get to experience. And in just 2 years, our story has gone from being people who were completely heartbroken, unemployed, lost everything, to now having 2 thriving businesses and being full of hope for our future. And that's why we wanted to come before you tonight and to share some of the things that we've learned in the last 24 months of being in this business. We've picked up a few tools here and there. Tirzah is rocketing up in this company. She's doing an amazing job. I'm kind of along for the ride, but I do my best, and you'll hear about that in a little bit. But we just wanted to share some of the things with you that we've learned, and hopefully you pick up a few tips along the way. So let me go ahead and share my screen at this point.
All right, so we'll make sure the screen sharing. And so basically our talk tonight, when we were asked to share at the Paget Leadership, I just decided, we're going to share the thing that has been the most prevalent for me, the things that I have learned. And so, hold on, we're having a little bit of technical difficulty. All right, now we got it. Sorry. Everyone see our screen? Thumbs up. Can you see our screen? Okay, so awesome. Thank you, Cindy. So, as part of the Paget organization, we are kind of under Jeff Roberti, Cheryl Cortese, and Cheryl has an amazing training call that I'm able to participate in. And it was probably, a couple months ago that she was sharing some, to me, quite alarming statistics. I had never really heard them broken down this specifically before. And so basically she said 80% of reps are dealers, DDs, and unqualified VFs. If you're new on this call and don't know what unqualified means, ask your sponsor. Can't talk about that tonight. But that really made me think about this. Like, how do we and our teams escape the 80%, right? So if we are, obviously you guys are on this call because you're wanting to grow your business and be successful. How do you get to that point? So that means 15% of reps are qualified VFs and sales coordinators, and only 5% make it into the leadership positions of senior sales coordinator, QNMD, and NMD. So I don't know about you, but I want to be part of the 5%. I want to be successful. I want this to be something that gives our family financial freedom and options to not have to ever clock in and out of a job. And so tonight, I'm going to assume that all of you want to grow your businesses and be successful. So if it's okay for me to do that, I'm going to talk to those of you that are in that place. So we have just a few points, and we're going to go through them very quickly. So the first thing that I like to talk about with my team is to really know what it takes to get off the ground. Bob Heilig, if you don't follow him on Facebook, please do. Last name Heilig. He has amazing trainings. And it was a couple weeks ago that he was shared this analogy that I thought was incredible. He said a jet plane uses 3/4 of its fuel for the flight just to get in the air. And so I thought that was really interesting that so many of us, don't understand that concept. And let me break it down a little bit. So for me, my desperation that we shared with you was what fueled my engine, you know, and I gave it all I had and more. There were days that I just went to bed so dog tired, I can't even explain it. I mean, I made it to VF in 5 weeks. I qualified my business in month 2. I went to a boot camp and my sponsor was telling everyone that I was qualified in my first eligible month. And I was like, what the heck is she talking about? I don't even know what it means to be qualified, but I was. And for me, it wasn't about anything, but just doing my best every day. And the promotions were just a cherry on top, truly. But the problem is, for many of us, is that we say, oh yeah, I want my business to soar and I want to fly it like a jet plane. But the reality is that so many of us are more like this, a hot air balloon. Don't overanalyze my analogy, but you know, both things get you in the air, right? But there's a totally different experience in both of those forms of transportation. So what I have found, though, is that it's so much harder to be a hot air balloon. You know, we're sitting there and we're, you know, trying to breathe air into this balloon, but it takes so much longer and so much more effort to get that air into the balloon to get it to soar. So when you go slow, you miss out on some of the thrill of the ride, that jet like straight up into the air, and you're holding onto your seat and you're kind of pushed back into your seat. Any of you know what it's like if you went for your VF in 60 days, you know, that's what you're getting in the air fast, and that's often. But when you go slow, you miss out on the thrill and the gratification of those, you know, those promotions and bonuses and all of that. You miss out on that, and I don't know, it's kind of sad to me. So for example, if you're sharing with 2 or 3 people a week instead of 2 or 3 people a day, your sense of accomplishment may decline. If you share with that few amount of people, that means the no's will seem so much louder than if you're sharing with 15 plus people a week. Okay, so the question I ask you is, what are you willing to do to get your plane in the air? What are you doing? So just a little side note here. I want to give a huge shout out to our company. They're so amazing that they realize that some of us need to be a hot air balloon, and they're okay with that. If you're sitting here going, no, I'm not a jet plane, I'm not gonna do that. That's okay, there is room for you, and that's fine. So they will allow you to reach your goals without fast tracking so you can build your business at your own pace. But listen, what I love even more, I've been able to participate in the bonus program, and with a little self-competition, you could really receive some incredible bonuses in this company. So we're gonna move on to number 2, and then I'm gonna pass it over to Bradley here in a second. But we're gonna talk about number 2 is recognizing your most valuable team members. So when I first started this business, I jumped in with both feet. I never asked anyone to hold my hand. I went to my sponsor's Facebook. I copied everything she was doing. I worked full time, came home, fed my family, and worked to the wee hours in the morning. I went to boot camps, conferences, hosted salad in a jar events, even though I'd never been to one and didn't even like salad. I worked very hard at my business. But the important thing to acknowledge is that I never could have done all of these things if it wasn't for my most important team members. And these are my team members. So my husband, Bradley, and my kiddos, Samantha and Hunter. This is a bit of an old picture. But Bradley was the one that took care of the kids while I traveled. He cleaned the house and prepared for parties. He made handouts online, like so tech savvy. He cleaned up after parties, and he never complained about the countless boxers. Can I get an amen? So, but I want to just let Bradley step in here and talk about what the journey has been like for him as a spouse and someone that's also recently started really seriously working his business.
Yeah, you know, one of the things, if you've been in this business for any length of time, is you've kind of noticed that there aren't a whole lot of guys. And I want to just take a moment to talk to the spouses. You know, whether you're a male or female in the business, you probably have someone alongside you, either your spouse, maybe a significant other, your mom, your sister, whoever, who's there supporting you all along the way. And that's been my role for much of Tirzah's time in this business. And it's just been incredible for me to learn that it's super important for that person to engage. And that's one of the things I want to talk to people about is you need to do three things. If you're going to be that support person, first of all, you need to be a person, if your significant other, if your spouse is going to be super successful in this business, you need to believe. Really to believe in three things. First of all, be a believer in the product. If you're not on it, we've had people on our team where their husbands just won't take it. I'm like, why? It's fruits and vegetables. Get on the product, see what it does for you, become a believer in the product. And that alone will free up your spouse. I'm just going to say spouse. You can fill in the gap for who that person is in your life. Will free up your spouse to be able to just really engage. They know you at least stand behind what it is they're representing to the world around them. Secondly, you need to believe in the business. Examine the business model. Go ahead and do your homework. Even though you may not be actually the one doing the business, look at it, understand what the promotions are, because you'll find this business has an incredible model that is worth following. And then lastly, believe in your spouse. You really got to get behind them. You got to believe that they can do it. If anything's going to hold them up, it's super easy for you to kind of give them a giant speed bump if you just aren't willing to believe. So get behind them and believe in them. Secondly, I encourage all support people, pick your level of engagement. Engage at some level. Now, some people are like, I don't have time, or it's just not my personality, whatever. And the best you can do is applaud them. This is just someone who simply gets out of the way of their spouse and celebrates their successes. This person is mostly just giving them freedom. So if they need to go to conference, you're saying go. If they need to go to a boot camp, all right, let me help you book the hotel. They're just giving them the freedom to really work this business. Let me take the kids so you can be on a call tonight. If all you can do is applaud your spouse, do it. That is a level of engagement. But if you want to go further, you can be someone who supports. Supporting is when you start showing up. You attend an event or you go to conference. I remember Tirzah went to her first conference and she came back. She's like, I'm never going again without you. And I've gone to every single one since, and I'm so glad I have. I come home so encouraged. Encourage your spouse. Understand the business model. Know what promotion they're working towards and what that means. Know who their team members are. I sit and listen to my wife's Voxers. I tell her, put it on speakerphone because it helps me keep up with what's actually going on in the business. But for those who really want to jump in with both feet, you don't have to become a distributor in the company. Just fully engage. And what does that mean? Well, if you're like Tirzah and I'm not a person who gives the pitch really well. I've tried to share Juice Plus with people. For some reason, it always comes out wrong. But I do have strengths that I can lend. So I will get on calls once in a while when there's a guy who is skeptical about it. Sometimes dudes just need to hear it from dudes. And so I'm willing to get on. Anytime there's a couple or a guy who needs to hear it, I'll get on and I'll be there going, yes, this is the real deal. That is super helpful to her business. I participate in Freedom Revolution calls with her nearly every week. And as you heard earlier, I've started something called Healthy Men Are Better Men, because this is my passion of getting guys talking about the conversation of nutrition again. It's not my strength to get customers, but I encourage you to find out what is your strength. And then lastly, if you're the support person, go ahead and dream a little. Dream a little. Now, I love this picture here that you're seeing. This is dream boards. Now, when my wife told me we were going to do dream boards as a family, I was kind of like, really? I wondered if I had to turn over my man card. But we pulled out the magazines and we sat down and I said, okay, let's do this thing. And it became a lot of fun. Now, each one of us did our own dream board and we thought, what will Juice Plus do for our family as a business? And what can happen if this really takes off? Now, I don't know why my son's dream board has a picture of a giant cheeseburger, but it does. But he's come a long way, trust me. But the great thing is, as we look back on these things, we can now see dreams that we are achieving through this business. One of them you see circled there says Alaska. We just got back from our dream trip to Alaska. We took Tirzah's father, it was his bucket list item, and Juice Plus made that happen. So be willing to dream a little with your spouse and engage in the business that way. So support people, just jump in with both feet. That would be my encouragement.
I'm pretty lucky, huh? He's awesome. So number 3 is something that a lot of people ask me about with our team, and it's all about systems. So define and duplicate your systems. This is a very important component to breaking out of that 80%. So our businesses thrive when there are simple systems. So our company saw a need for better systems, and I'm sure all of you know about the incredible new Freedom Revolution website. If you haven't checked it out, y'all, do it right away. It's thefreedomrevolution.com. And you need to put that at the top of your list. The password is revolution in all lowercase letters. So if you don't have a system, there it is. It's done for you. Start there. So if you want to breathe some life back into your business, pretend that you're a new rep, launch yourself again, and use the tools on this website. So I'm going to actually quickly walk through some of our systems, but I want you to keep in mind, you don't need to copy what we're doing. This is just what we do, and these are things that have morphed over time, and I'm sure they'll change again. But here's basically our 9 things. This is what we do. Number 1, Freedom Revolution call, 3-way Zooms, our phone calls, and events. That's where it all starts. If we don't have customers, we don't have anything, right? Number 2, after the Freedom Revolution call, we have a 3-way call to answer any questions. We want these people that have joined this community to feel special and feel like we care, because we do. That's what makes us so different than the other companies out there, is our customer service. Very important. Number 3, we have a new rep flow chart. You may be like, what's that? Well, we made it up. It's basically a flow chart to let us know if this is a family plan user or a rep with goals. And it's all like bubbles and arrows, because my husband's a nerd and that's what we do. And so you take someone through the flow chart, and then we know how to not push someone when they, like, sometimes we have goals that they don't have, and it helps us to get on the same page. Number 4 is we have a Team VF Voxer chat. I can't go into this I could do a whole training on this, but it's basically a place to put all the people that are going for VF in the same place, and it's accountability and encouragement, and it's my favorite thing ever. Number 5 is that we have a vision call twice a month. This is for new reps or people that are relaunching. This is amazing. Number 6 is that we have a weekly team call that's only 15 minutes long. You heard me. Now tonight is a training, so sometimes these are a little bit longer, but in general, our team call is 15 minutes long. We get on and off, and people appreciate it. Number 7 is customer care calls. I wrote a script for customer care calls that just kind of works with my personality, and it's been a great way for our team to expand with new distributors and things, and that's been awesome. Number 8 is that we use Facebook for recognition, training, and announcements. And then Voxer is number 9. That's where we do coaching, encouragement, and where reps are really encouraged to have day-to-day engagement with us. So that was a lot of information. So you guys doing okay? Thumbs up, everyone.
Deep breath, everyone. Almost there.
This is a lot of information.
So one of the other things, the next thing we really want to share with people is, so often you hear someone say, I'm just too busy. I can't put another thing on my plate. I can't do this business. I've got so much on. I got my kids, I got my job, whatever. If you've been in this business for any length of time, you've heard those words, I'm too busy. Well, we believe in taking busyness and leveraging that to create focus instead of frustration. Busyness doesn't need to be a frustrator. What's interesting to me is so many of the people that say, I'm too busy, they also would say they're unsatisfied with their current life situation. And that's a vicious circle if you don't do something to get out of it.
So there's been times in my life where, I just say I'm too busy, right? When someone says, how are you? And you often say, I'm so busy. I don't say that anymore. I have read books like some of these, The Compound Effect, Procrastinate on Purpose, Take the Stairs, Success is Not an Accident. And I actually just bought this because Loretta told me to. So The One Thing, I'm sure maybe you guys have already read it. I can't wait to read it. But it's books like this that help me realize that when my busyness frustrates me, it's more than likely that I've fallen into multitasking and not focusing on the right priorities.
So you may have heard of Stephen Covey, who's the author of the best-selling book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he says if we keep doing what we're doing, we're going to keep getting what we're getting. So here's some ways we found that we can take that busyness and begin to leverage it. And we'll just run through these really quickly. But the first is, don't make excuses. If you are willing to make excuses, you're going to always find one. You can come up with an excuse to get out of anything. Secondly, know your destination. Okay, if you have a goal that has no deadline, it's just a dream. It's a vapor. You're not going to reach it. Put a deadline on it and go for it.
Mm-hmm. And then know your why. This is really your driving force. Just a really brief story. Michael Hecht, who's a regional director, I guess for you guys too, he called me one day and he says, Tirzah, why do you want to be an MD? And I gave him some, blah, 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 blah. I want to build a community and blah, blah, blah. And he says, I'm going to ask you again, why do you want to be an MD? And I paused and I said, I don't want my husband to have to mow the grass anymore at our wedding venue. And I started to cry. And then I said, I haven't gone to the doctor in 3 years. We don't have health insurance. I need to go to the doctor. And I started to cry. And he said, bam, have a great day. and it was really powerful to me because he said, those are not bad things. So that's my why. So number 4 is to use a good calendar. I use this. It is the High Achievers Playbook. I do my whole entire life in here. You can find it on Facebook. Totally revolutionary for me. Boxer me, and I could tell you how I use it, but find it on Facebook. It's an awesome planner, the best one I have found.
Okay, if you're a busy person, you're going to have a lot on your plate. Time block. This schedule everything, even the things you don't think you need to schedule. Schedule your rest. Schedule your family time. Tirzah and I, we meet once a week, and we have what we call our family business meeting, and we schedule out our whole week, and our kids love it when they pull out our calendar and they see family game night written down on Tuesday night or something like that, because they know we may be busy throughout much of the rest of the week, but they know that night is for them, and they love seeing it. Next, use what we call your net. This stands for no extra time. Use those little pieces in between. Like I said, I'll do a lot of the driving because Tirzah will be on Voxer the entire time. She gets a lot done in the 20, 30 minutes we're going from here to there. Make the most of those in-between moments.
Yeah. Turn off the TV. I don't have to expound on that. It's a time waster. It's not going to help you produce anything in your life. Number 8 is work with the workers. I have something that I say to my team all the time is that I'm going to match your effort. If you give 5%, I'm going to give 5%. If you give 90, I'm going 90. If there's 100%er, I'm going to give them a lot of my attention, right? So I work with the workers.
Number 9, simply get a babysitter.
Yes.
We have so many people, but I've got my kids. Get a babysitter. If you're serious, get a babysitter and go to the thing you need to go to.
Yeah. And finally, lay aside the myth of balance and embrace the concept of seasons and priorities. There is no balance in life. I strove for that for a long time, and then I realized this is ridiculous. And so, life has just seasons of priorities, and you have to know in what season you are and always know what is a priority in my life right now. So we're going to just kind of, I think we're almost done here, but we're going to just tie a bow on all of this with something that is probably the most important to me. And again, we could do a whole training on this. But number 5 is enter the cave. For any of you guys that have participated in the Brave Leaders program, we all have learned some very key things together. But one of the big things I believe is that personal development is the number 1 key to having a successful Juice Plus business. And in the Brave Leaders program, we learned that the cave you fear to enter holds the treasure that you seek. And I really feel that the personal development that happens or doesn't happen is really the key in so many ways. But let me just tell you a very brief story. So a new rep signed up recently, and she had been really engaged, and then all of a sudden she went silent. Anyone ever have that happen with a new rep before? If you're new and you're on here tonight, just plug your ears. So I reached out to her because my spirit was telling me that something was going on, and I messaged her and I said, I'm feeling these things. I could be totally off base, but will you let me know how you're doing? And she responded back, and these are literally some of the things that she said to me. I'm afraid of rejection. I posted about Juice Plus and nobody responded. My sponsor posted and 8 people responded in the first hour. I hate that I compare myself to other people. She said, I told a coworker about Juice Plus and she made fun of me. And she said, just eat your vegetables, silly. She said, I feel like a hypocrite because I need to lose weight. I feel scared of what people will think about me. Has anyone ever related to any of these things? And then lastly, she said, I want to share Juice Plus, but I still eat junk food. How can I be an advocate to share healthy living when I need to lose weight and I'm not a healthy person? You guys, these are real issues that people struggle with and that I have struggled with. And I know that many of you on this call can relate to these things.
So let's just be honest and kind of in your own minds, think about some of these same things. Are you a person out there doing this business? Have you ever feared rejection? Have you ever been a person who's frustrated or feels inadequate? You have moments where you're discouraged, maybe long seasons where you're discouraged. You compare yourself to others. You get on the team call for the week and you're like, well, I thought I was going okay, but man, that person's got so many great stories. Maybe you're just completely overwhelmed. There's just so much you feel like you haven't learned. Or maybe you've been doing this for a while and you just feel stuck. What I want you to understand is you're not alone. These are all common stories in the Juice Plus business, but the personal development, the growth is the incredible benefit we get for doing this. We grow as people as we build our businesses.
Yeah. So really, just as we close, it just begs this question. So how do we work through these emotions? How do we? So a lot of us have felt these emotions that Bradley mentioned. Realize, number one, that if you want your business to grow, you have to grow. You have to grow. If you're not willing to do the hard thing, this business is not going to work for you. And I've seen that in my life. And we all go through these hills and valleys, and they're the most important part of our personal development. It's the hard times, right? With that growth, we do book club. We have sideline friends. We participate in Brave Leaders. Being teachable and humble is so important. And then follow people that you admire. You become the person that you hang out with. And so hang out with people that have the qualities that you really appreciate. So in conclusion, as we think about how we could take our teams beyond the 80%, don't resist the trial. The trial is the most beautiful, painful, necessary part of the process. I hope you heard that. It's necessary, right? So it's kind of like those core moments that we talked about in the beginning. Sometimes those most important things that happen in our businesses are not actually the highs of the promotions. It's the things that we learn in the valleys, the hard things. It's the struggle and the pain that makes the good times so sweet. We wouldn't really appreciate joy and happiness if we didn't also experience sadness and pain. And so when you walk with a rep through the challenges of making a promotion, it's the one that fought through it. They fought hard through the fear. It's those ones that celebrate the most. And if it came easy, there wouldn't be a huge need to celebrate. And so anyway, I hope that these things have been an encouragement to you. We hope that our lessons and our struggles will help you to take your teams beyond the 80%. That's all we got.
Oh my gosh. Let me just tell you, several things. Number one, you didn't lose anyone on this call. They've all
That's good. No one was sleeping. We can't see anyone, so it's good to know.
I put the screen back up so you can see everybody's beautiful faces. That was unbelievable. I would love it if all the We Rock team members could please click on and chat and say something to them. I'm going to unmute in a minute here. Recording after I say to you, I saw this live, no comparison to sitting here right in front of my computer with your beautiful faces head to head, eye to eye. This was so impactful to me tonight. I'm blown away. You two are going to be on the main stage of the Juice Plus conference. You will. I can speak that into your role right now. There's like this. It's not, your training's great, but your stories, your passion, your energy, the fact that you're synergistic between the two of you, wow. I am just so grateful tonight. Thank you to you for coming to this call. I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording. Hold on. Yes, team.